What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a reaction to Chris de Burgh, top 10 songs from 1975 through 1980, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter and Patreon channel, Osmond. Thank you, Osmond. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below or the Patreon link on the end screen. All right, Osmond gave a little background on Chris. He said Chris de Burgh is mostly known for his 80s hit Lady in Red, which I don't particularly like. I actually do. But my first exposure to him was listening to a best of album from his pre-Lady in Red period, which my father had on tape. I've always enjoyed some of his songs, and last year I dived into some of his albums, and I found I really liked his first 5 albums, which the songs on this list are gathered from, before he quite abruptly descended into an abysmal adult contemporary style through the 1980s. Osmond says, as a Christian, I find a couple of the songs on the list to be at least borderline blasphemous, and as I did the research for this, I can guess which songs those were. But there are some of his most well-known songs, and I've always found them really catchy. Even though I can't endorse all of their message, I am also a Christian, and I'll give you my true thoughts on those songs, but I still, enjoy music for what it is. I just found he started out as an art rock performer, but subsequently started writing more pop-oriented material, which is kind of what Osmond's talking about here. He had several top 40 hits in the UK and 2 in the US, but he's more popular in other countries, particularly Norway, where Osmond lives, and Brazil. He's sold over 45 million albums worldwide, and he's got 22 studio albums. So that's quite the catalog. If you have never been with us before, the music will not be in the video, but it'll be at a Vimeo link below. So click on that and follow along with me if you want to hear the music. Let's kick this thing off. With number 10, we got The Tower from Spanish Train and Other Stories album in 1975, which is his second album. And guys, there's just not a lot of research out there on these. I dug and dug, but there's just not much out there. So we'll let the lyrics speak for themselves. I'll have those up as always. Thanks again, Osmond. All right, The Tower, kind of an epic, I'm thinking medieval type of situation where the king is out, he just wants to kill, he's out hunting, and he sees this woman, and he wants her, and she's like, don't kill anymore, don't kill these poor animals. And he doesn't hear her, he just sees that what he wants, and he ties her up with rope and takes her to his castle and throws her in this room, and she eventually leaves, and then he dies a lonely old man, basically. But good guitar work. I liked Chris's voice. It kept me enthralled during the whole story. So that's a good pick for number 10. Next up, we have Carry On from his Crusader album, 1979, his 4th album. Carry On. Now, knowing what's kind of coming on the spiritual side of things, this one's almost like he's searching for, saying there is a higher being, and kind of, we're all in this together, and he's got the girl in there, she's with him. I like the tempo changes in here. Very well produced, much richer arrangement-wise than the first track, but I liked them both. Next up, from the album Spanish Train and Other Stories, again from 1975, Patricia the Stripper. Hey, what a title. All right, Patricia the Stripper. The title kind of tells you all about a 1920s stripper who was in the town, and she ends up getting arrested, and they all thought she was going to go to jail, but the judge, you even hear it in there, slams the gavel, and she does her thing again, and she goes free. So very interesting arrangement. Chris sounds different on here. He's singing it with that almost humorous storytelling way. So it's just a different kind of song than what we've had so far on here, but a well-told story, to say the least. Next up, we have The Key from Far Beyond These Castle Walls in 1975, his debut album. All right, The Key, really rich, again, arrangement-wise. Really enjoyed the percussion on here. The drumming really set the tone, almost an ominous tone, because basically Chris is warning people throughout this song. Oh, sinner, you're losing all that you had. Then your soul flies to heaven. This is a few lines later. You reach out for me, but the door will not open. You've thrown away the key. So he's telling all these people they've thrown away the key to kind of their way out of their situations. Oh, stranger, beware the life that you lead. It's filled with warnings you can or will not read. Your castle is falling. It lies in the sand. I heard your voice calling. I thought I felt the brush of your hand. And then gambler. The gambler's always winning, but now he can't get out of the room. You gather your winnings, you're ready to leave, but the door will not open. You've thrown away the key. So you've thrown away kind of your way out of these bad situations. So an interesting song, the way it's written, and I really enjoyed it. Next up, we got to go off Spotify because this one album was not on there. We got Eastern Wind, the title track from the album Eastern Wind in 1980. All right, Eastern Wind, and this had a great guitar outro, right? Coda the last minute and a half there or so, but a little harmony on the chorus coming in, And the story is, and that's what I like about this, was we're halfway through this list. Chris tells stories in every one of his songs you can follow along with. You don't need research because you can figure it out. But it's about the eastern wind has come. He's got a gun by his side. So they're coming to take his land. That's what the eastern wind is symbolic for. They're coming from the east, right? But he's going to fight him to his death, basically, is what he's telling you here. So I think that they do a real good job of letting the instruments and the arrangement kind of speak to the tone of the song. Well, we get to the top half of Osmond's Chris de Burgh top 10 songs from 1975 to 1980 with Broken Wings from at the End of a Perfect Day album in 1977, his third studio album. Broken Wings. No, not the Mr. Mister song. Chris de Burgh. Basically, he left. He wants the girl to take him back. She won't now. And so now he's just got these broken wings and he's crushed. He didn't think that would ever happen to him, but a softer arrangement, right? Some acoustic on the Chris sounds really good. So it kind of shows you the diversity of him. You can go from all these different styles. Next up, we have Spanish Train, of course, from the Spanish Train and Other Stories album in 1975. The song was banned in South Africa. I'll get to that in a minute. But it's a story about a train carrying the souls of the dead to the underworld. God and Lucifer are playing poker, gambling with the souls. Lucifer cheats and wins the game. The song finishes with the stanza. I'm just covering this up front. And far away in some recess, the Lord and the devil are now playing chess. The devil still cheats and wins more souls. And as for the Lord, he's just doing his best. I'll cover that in a minute. But it was deemed blasphemous in South Africa, and a ban was ordered. A&M Records sued to get the ban overturned. The suit was eventually successful. However, while the suit was in progress, A&M released the album under the title Lonely Sky and Other Stories without Spanish Train. So, I mean, the ban might have been overturned, but I'm sure it hurt the album. But those last few lines, the Lord does not cower or do anything. He only allows the devil or Satan to do what he allows him to do. He is under the dominion of the Lord. So I'm just telling you, if you're not a Christian, you're probably like, whatever, dude. I'm just telling you when we get to the kind of concept of this song. But you know what? The song may be great. If Osmond has it at number 4, I'm sure it is. All right, Spanish Train. What an interesting concept to even write about, right? To even have, I mean, it's a captivating story to even come into your mind. It always amazes me what songwriters come up with. But I mean, it's basically what I talk about. There's this train. They say it's still running where God and Satan are playing for the souls of people. And they start playing for the souls. Let's start with this many, and they up it, and the Lord ups it. And he didn't know that the devil pulls an ace out from under his cloak and cheated, and so he won. And you know, it's just like, as biblically speaking, this would never happen. The Lord has dominion, but the change up in musical tempo, the style, all of that great stuff, I can see why it's a really, really well thought of song. All right, we're to our top 3 of Osmond's top 10 Chris de Burgh songs. We have Perfect Day from the At the End of a Perfect Day album in 1977. Remember, that is his third. Perfect Day, just a really well done song, piano driven, right? But he just talks about basically him and his girl, and then this other couple. It's after midnight, he needs to go to bed, but they're away on a vacation, I'm guessing, or off somewhere, and he's playing the guitar and just playing songs around the fire and doing these different things. He did the Beatles stuff. When he mentions Let It Be, you get the little guitar action that you get, the little riff in Let It Be. I thought that was cool. At the end, they want to hear some Christmas songs, so you get the melody of Silent Night in there. So that's just really great touches. Just a really good song from start to finish. Next up, we have at number 2, A Spaceman Came Traveling from Spanish Train and Other Stories in 1975. It's become a popular Christmas song, has appeared on many festive compilation albums. It was not an initial success in the UK and failed to chart after its release in 1975. It reached the top position of the Irish charts, 22 in Canada. However, in 1986, following de Burgh's huge success with The Lady in Red, its reissue went to number 15 in Ireland, charting for only 1 week, but it was issued as a double A-side with the song The Ballroom of Romance and charted for the first time in the UK in 1986 and only went to number 40. He had just signed, when the way this came about, his first recording contract with A&M Records, was broke and, quote, staying at a friend's flat when he read Chariots of the Gods by Erich von Däniken. The book made him think, quote, what if the Star of Bethlehem was a spacecraft? And what if there's a benevolent being or entity in the universe keeping an eye on the world and our foolish things that we do to each other? A fan of Irish poet William Butler Yeats, whose work, The Second Coming, avers that every 2,000 years or so there'd be a major cataclysmic event happening. De Burgh saw the birth of Christ as, quote, such an event, and then 2,000 years later, there would be a similar one. He imagined, quote, the nativity scene, the thing hovering over, and I could see the shepherds in the fields, and this weird ethereal music was drifting into the air, and they were, what the heck is that? But he, quote, had no ideas about trying to write a hit record. So yeah, this story is definitely borderline blasphemous, but let's check out the song. A spaceman came traveling. I mean, it's just a space story of the Christmas story is what it is. The instrumentation, the ramping, the la, 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 la. Like the arrangement and production of the song make it by far the most catchy song on here for me of this list. So it's really well done. I just, I can't get on board with the lyrical content of it. All right, we're to number 1 on Osmond's top 10 Chris de Burgh songs from 1975 to 1980. We got the title track from the album Crusader in 1979, his 4th album. This one's almost 9 minutes long, so it's probably going to be an epic journey. All right, Crusader, I mean, describing the Crusades, right? Just a fantastic song, just what a journey. The arrangement, once again, which is a strong point on this album that I'll get into, or on this top 10 list, which I'll get into in a few minutes, but definitely went along, building the drama of the song. They basically go and take Jerusalem back over, the Christians do, but at the end, it's later on, and, this kind of stuff doesn't exist anymore. What do I do now? So the wise man to the fool. I've spent my whole life searching to find the golden rule. Through those centuries have disappeared. The memory still remains of those enemies together. Could it be that way again? Then the fool said, oh, you wise men, you really make me laugh. With your talk of vast persuasion and searching through the past, there's only one greed and evil in the men who fight today. The song of the Crusader has long since gone away. And then he just finishes with that Jerusalem is lost 3 times, and then finishes with Jerusalem. So a great way to finish this list off. And that is going to take me to my favorite tracks. Honorable mention, Carry On, from the same album that we just had Crusader from Crusader. Eastern Wind, the only song off that album, but that was really, really good. My faves are going to be Perfect Day and this last song, Crusader. So a really nice list, well curated, as always, from Osmond. Let me know what you think of this list below. Keep in mind, it's difficult to curate these lists, right? It takes a lot of time. So let me know your favorite songs on here. What else should I check out from Chris de Burgh? Thanks to Osmond, as always. And until next time, guys, I will see you.